Hey friends, and welcome to a brand new makeup transformation video. It is your creative weird makeup artist pal Kat Sketch with one of the most creative YouTube channels on the internet. Today I thought we would do a makeup transformation inspired by Wednesday. Yes, the girl, she's here. Tim Burton redid the Addams Family with a very amazing edition and brought it to us on Netflix. This is a super popular hit for very good reason. I had to do my own take on Wednesday, and of course we're gonna do a twist, half Wednesday, half her roommate Enid, the beautiful rainbow wolf child Enid with the gothic dark amazing Wednesday Addams and maybe a little appearance of Thing. While we're going to be talking about some really creepy school stories, since both of these girls attend Nevermore Academy, I thought we would tell some really creepy school stories while doing this makeup, so let's get started. Today's stories are brought to you by Ranker.com. Our first story is called It Attached Itself to Her Roommate. I had a randomly assigned roommate in college who was a very sweet religious girl. She kept to herself mostly, but she was always really kind and polite. This was the first year I didn't seem to have a very angry or a bitchy roommate, so I was excited to get along with her. About 2 nights after we moved in, I woke up to hear someone sobbing softly outside my bedroom door. It was really weird sounding, this kind of desperate, creaky sobbing. And I was so scared at first because it sounded like something you'd hear in horror movies, like The Witch if you've ever played Left 4 Dead. I heard someone moving around the apartment and occasionally coming back to my door, scratching on it softly, so I finally summoned the courage to peek out of my bedroom. My roommate was just walking around the apartment crying. She was sleepwalking apparently because her eyes were closed. But when I opened the door, her head turned to look right at me. Then she slowly went to the kitchen table, picked up a pencil, and started to scrawl this weird symbol on her door. It looked like a circle with a triangle in it. I asked her if she was okay, and she just stood there, swaying and crying. And I was basically just like, nope, and I locked the door. The next morning, she was really scared and mad at me because this demon symbol had appeared on her door, and she thought I had done it to prank her. She didn't believe me when I told her she was the one who did it, but accepted my denial that I did it, and we dropped it. Several times throughout the year, I'd wake up in the middle of the night to her in the kitchen, talking to herself. Every time she would come to scratch softly on my door, and every morning, there'd be another symbol on her door. She was still convinced it was me messing with her. I considered filming her, but honestly, I was really scared of opening the door because I watch way too many scary movies about demons. Then one time, we were in our separate dorm rooms when there was a huge bang from her bathroom. There was obviously no one else in the dorm, so we were both really freaked out, but we decided to investigate it. We looked everywhere, and nothing had fallen down, and there was no windows or other doors to the bathroom other than the one leading to our living room. So we pulled back the shower curtain, and there was a huge arc of blood on the wall. She went pale and had no explanation for this. Later that night, while I was studying in total silence, she rushed into my room and demanded to know what I had said. I asked her what she was talking about, and she said she was in the bathroom and heard me talking to her like I was whispering or something through the wall. Nope. After that, whenever she was gone for the weekend, I always heard weird noises coming from her side of the dorm suite in the middle of the night. Nope, nope, nope. She moved out at the end of the year, and that was that. But I've always wondered, what the was that all about? This story is called The Indescribable Scream. I'm going to preface this by saying I went to a boarding school for 6 years. This boarding school was in the middle of a one-stoplight town and on a hill about 800 feet up. The school used to be an old monastery. It was hundreds of years old and huge with 4 stories, including a basement where there was a boiler room and long hallways. Not all of these stories I'm about to tell you happened to myself, but the people who told me them were reliable enough to believe them. Also, the school didn't want us telling stories to other people because they were afraid that would make them not want to go to the school due to it being haunted. The first one happened to me. I used to be in charge of cleaning the gymnasium at night. Every student had a job that they had to do either at night or in the morning to help take care of the school. It taught you some practical thing and all. Anyway, I was there by myself that night getting ready to start sweeping the gym. The gym had 2 floors to it. The upstairs part was the weightlifting area, and you could see it fully from the bottom part of the gym, where the basketball court was. As I stepped into the gym, one of the basketballs started rolling a bit. I look around to see if any doors are open, and none are. I chalk it up to randomness, but seeing that it continuously rolled, as I watched it, it makes a full circle around the entire gym and stops right next to my feet. At this point, I'm a bit scared, but I figured it was nothing. I heard a creaking coming from the 2nd floor and looked up. There was a girl there, just staring right at me. As soon as I made direct eye contact with her, she bolts to the stairs that would take her to me. She let out a scream that I cannot describe. I was terrified and I froze in place. Thankfully, she didn't come to me, but took a left and bolted through the main doors of the gym. And they didn't open. She just went right through the doors. And I noped the hell out of there. This next story is called A Girl in White Has a Song in Her Heart. There was a chapel that was in the middle of the school. This was a non-religious school, so we used it for musical performances and stuff like that. I was in choir for the year that I was there, so I was very used to performing in it. There was stained glass on all the windows and such. Every time you walked in there, it always felt as if someone was watching you. It wasn't only me, but there were multiple people who felt this way. There was a big grand piano that was on the opposite side of where you walked in. That was our stage. People would go in there at night and practice on it or just play for fun. Most people would just go in there and only turn on the stage lights and leave the rest off while they were practicing. This story isn't something that I witnessed, but a friend of mine did. She was playing on the piano by herself, just having fun practicing. While in the middle of the song, the keys next to her start going up and down as if trying to add another part to her song. She jokingly said, "Hey, stop. That doesn't go with what I'm doing." She immediately felt as if someone had boxed her ears, and she became really dizzy. She freaked out and bolted out of there. She came crying down the area where all the students hung out on their free time, and she told me and a few friends this story. It took quite a while to get her to calm down. Many people have seen a girl in a white dress constantly roaming the area. This next story is called The Cruel Prankster. A job I had around the school was preparing the salad bar we had for lunch and dinner. To do this, I would have to get out everything we would need for that day from the basement in the giant freezer we had down there. I would then have to wash it and cut it and peel everything. I was one of the first people every morning to do this job. I would get up at 6 a.m. and do this every day. I got up at about 6. As soon as I woke up, I was feeling uneasy. I quickly took a shower and got dressed so I could get to the lunchroom at about 6:30. The person in charge of the kitchen was already up and getting everything warmed up. I said hello and checked out what we would need. I made a list and headed down. Now that feeling of uneasiness was there the whole time. Through my whole shower, walking the hallways in the morning, and even when I got to the kitchen. I opened the freezer and felt a cold blast of air. Needless to say, I could have cut diamonds with how cold it was. I stepped inside and started getting vegetables. As I was reaching for one, I heard a giggle. This wasn't a normal one, but like a small child's giggle. I instantly froze and whipped around. No one. I brushed it off and continued. Another giggle. I was like, no way. This is not happening to me. And flick, the lights go off in the freezer. I still had a bit of light because I left the door open. I started seeing the door close. and it locks from the outside. I bolt to the door because I knew I would be locked in there for at least 15 minutes with the lights off if I didn't. I caught it right before it closed. Again, I hear the giggle. This time it was right behind me. I screamed. I was 17 years old and I screamed like a girl. I ran upstairs and I told the guy I wasn't feeling well and went and hid in my room until everyone else got up that morning. This story is called The Child Outcast. I used to work for my dad, who was partially self-employed doing regular maintenance and floor washing for a child care program called Head Start, the one center in an old school, which was built not too long after the turn of the century, and it served as a church functions building, in addition to housing Head Start and another child care center. We always did floors over the summer. Anyone who has stripped and waxed floors knows that when you're putting the coating back on, it's quiet and relaxing. We were the only people in the building since it was a midsummer weekend, and yet it felt off, even before you enter, like someone was watching from the second floor windows. So here we are, making slow progress across this huge room, when we hear a sound upstairs and stop. Then it sounded like someone was skipping across the room and back a few times and stopped again. So we finished the layer and went upstairs. Nobody was up there. So we closed the doors and went downstairs and started the other room. Once again, the sound started, but this time I sprinted upstairs. The sound stopped before I reached the hall, but all of the doors were open at various angles. We didn't hear the sound anymore that summer. But my dad asked the child care advisor from the other end of the building if there were weird noises. She said no. But that one day we were sitting down for snacks and a couple kids were staring in the corner. The aide asked them what they were looking at, and one of the kids asked, "Why can't that girl eat with us?" The aide looked at them and said, "What girl?" And the kid points to the corner and says, "The little girl in the white dress." I literally haven't set foot in that building since, and I have no desire to do so. I used to think ghosts were for scary stories, but I have trouble believing this is not real. This next story is called A High School Gets Mr. Ripley'd. My high school got a foreign exchange student from Romania. He got caught in some credit card scandal in my town and surrounding areas. It turns out this guy was not who he said he was. This guy murdered the kid that was supposed to come to the US. He stole his identity and came over as that person. This guy happened to be 25 years old and he was posing as a 17-year-old student. Needless to say, the school put the foreign exchange program on hiatus for about 3 years after this incident. So those were the creepy stories and the final Wednesday Adam and Enid crossover makeup look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me turning into Wednesday and Enid, with Thing of course. From the Netflix hit Wednesday, Tim Burton's reinvented version of the Addams Family. I hope you enjoyed the creepy tales while turning into this. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can like this video and follow for some more. Also, big shout out and thank you to my friend Sarah for suggesting this makeup video idea. You should definitely check out her shop down below. She makes beautiful pottery. She's a creative genius and I love her so. All the products I use in this video will be listed down below in the description box as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!